Live NFL trivia every Tuesday night on Twitch at 9 p.m. Eastern. Come show off your football knowledge and have a chance to win cash prizes. Check the link in the description to find out more. And now, on with our feature presentation. I don't think this is going to come as a shock to anyone, but Dan Snyder is not a very good owner. If I were to make a video talking about all the bad things that Snyder has done, both on and off the field, we'd be sitting here for at least the next 10 hours. There's way too many to mention, from his meddling in football affairs, to the name controversy, to the sexual harassment allegations that were described in detail this past summer. But let's just say that of all the owners in the NFL, Snyder is probably the most problematic by a fairly large margin. And it's been that way for a while. I think Mike Freeman of the New York Times summed it up best when he said that it took Raiders owner Al Davis a lifetime to irk the NFL, and it took Cowboys owner Jerry Jones a matter of years. But it has taken Snyder just a few months. With so many awful moments, it's hard to pinpoint the exact moment that things went south. But if you wanted to say that it all happened on a mid-October day in 2000, that's not a bad place to start. When Washington took on the Baltimore Ravens, things got so bad with what happened off the field that NFL officials actually had to meet with Washington to tell Snyder and company to knock it off. This is the story behind that infamous day. First, we need some context as to how we got to this point. I should note that tensions were already not great when it came to Snyder and the rest of the league, as he was doing things that were generally frowned upon. He charged fans for admission into training camp. He changed the name of Jack Hancock Stadium to FedEx Field, in a move that was not liked by fans. He told ABC Sports not to air certain things during their Monday Night Football game against the Dallas Cowboys, in a move that angered the network. He meddled with his head coach on playing decisions. And they had gotten in trouble a few times for pumping fake crowd noise into the stadium, getting fined twice, including during their last home game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where they were fined $20,000. One of the stunts that was pulled during this was the public address announcer yelling over the system just as the Bucs were about to snap the ball, which is illegal. On October 15, 2000, the Baltimore Ravens were coming into town. While the Ravens had played in Washington before, as they played in 1997, that was before Snyder was the owner. Now, Snyder did not like the Ravens one bit since it took the Baltimore market away from the team, especially when the Ravens started marketing in the DC area. In his eyes, this was an in-state rivalry in the same way the Giants, Jets, and Dolphins Buccaneers was. And this game in particular was huge, aside from the rivalry aspect of it. Baltimore entered the game at 5-1, and it was looking like the Ravens were potentially about to have a ridiculously good defense. Through 6 games, Baltimore had shut out 3 of their opponents, and were looking like the best team in the AFC, solely on the strength of their defense. As for Washington, they were having a really good season too, as they were 4-2, having won 3 straight. Washington was tied with the Giants for the best record in the NFC East, and was looking to keep pace with New York with a win here. Safe to say, this is a pretty big game. And so, when the Ravens came to FedEx Field for this contest, Snyder did some absolutely ridiculous things that drew the attention of the league. First, he charged the Ravens for parking. No, I'm not making that up. When a team hosts a game, it does not charge the other team to park at the venue in the same way the fans are charged. Baltimore came to the game in 7 buses, with 3 of them being unable to get in initially. It cost $40 to park. 3 buses were stopped by security. Because of that, the Ravens were charged $120 to park at the venue where they were going to be playing. And if that wasn't bad enough, the buses were sent to the very back of the parking lot, which was so far away from the venue that the Ravens had to get a golf cart for 75-year-old owner Art Modell to get into the venue. Amazingly enough, this is not illegal. There is nothing in the rulebook about a team charging its opponents to park, just like there's nothing in the rulebook about a dog playing football. But this move was almost cartoonishly evil. Second, one of the things that's important when you're going to a game is that whether you're rooting for the home team or the road team, that you're safe. You want to feel like you're in a protected environment where you can root for your team without being in danger of getting beaten up or getting obscenities hurled your way. Obviously, this doesn't always happen, and sometimes there's nothing that an owner or an organization can do about it. However, there are preventative measures that you could take, such as limiting alcohol sales, having security guards patrol the area, or things like that. One thing that doesn't help is having your public address announcers say over the system, "Ravens fans suck." That's not going to rile the people up at all. That's a great idea. Third, there was another issue with the noise. Even though Washington had been warned before about inappropriate times to play noise during games, that didn't stop him here. Washington has a live band, and the band consistently played when the Ravens broke the huddle. Music is supposed to stop when the offense breaks the huddle or gets to the line of scrimmage. Obviously, Washington did not do that. That led to confusion and chaos from Baltimore's offense, since they couldn't exactly hear themselves when trying to make audibles because a live band was playing. Washington ended up winning the game 10-3, with the lone touchdown of this low-scoring affair coming when Stephen Davis scored from 33 yards out early in the fourth quarter. But after the game, the talk wasn't about what happened on the field. Instead, the talk was about what happened off of it, because Snyder was called out by just about everyone for this. Modell said that he was embarrassed for the league, and that Snyder is not a responsible owner. He went as far as saying that if Washington ever came to Baltimore Stadium, that they would be treated with respect, saying we would never treat them the way they treated us. Ravens spokesman Kevin Burns didn't want to file a protest with the league, since he didn't want the team to be perceived as sore losers, but said that if and when Washington comes to PSI Net Stadium, we will treat them with more class. Just to recap, Snyder and company charged the Ravens for parking, had their public address announcers say to a bunch of drunk fans before the game that Ravens fans sucked, and had music playing illegally, even though they had been warned twice about this before, and Snyder did not speak up against this. This game was so bad that afterwards, NFL officials even met with Washington to tell them to knock it off. There was some talk about Washington even being docked draft picks for this, though that never happened. And at least to my knowledge, no other incidents transpired for the rest of the season. So I guess this problem was addressed. People forget about this scandal because, well, Snyder's had way more notable ones over the years that are way more important than this. But it seemed as though that this game was the turning point. This was the moment that the entire NFL was fed up with Snyder and his antics, and this was the moment that the league had enough. What's the moral of the story here? If any of you are watching this, and happen to be billionaires thinking of buying an NFL team, here's a simple word of advice. Don't be like Dan Snyder. Be sure to like this video, ring the notification bell, subscribe down below if you haven't already, as it helps the channel out a lot, and be sure to check out Twitch every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for your chance to play NFL trivia and win cash prizes. Link in the description below. If you want to see videos like this condensed down to 60 seconds, then follow me on TikTok at JaredGator9 and subscribe to 60-Second NFL History on YouTube. Also, special thanks to all of our Patreon supporters for helping with the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. See how you can become a patron and request future video topics in the description below.